Inland Australia burns like a furnace, with temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius. In this extreme wasteland, a biological threat expands. Over 5 million wild donkeys roam the barren inland territories. This number rivals the population of New Zealand. They do not just survive, they dominate. The animals converge on shrinking waterholes, consuming the scarce dry season vegetation. The government actively retaliates. Authorities deploy helicopters, tracking collars, and ground traps. The state has spent over $50 million on these control programs. While foreign nations convert similar herds into commercial supply chains, Australia fights a losing battle. Over $50 million evaporate in the desert. The massive feral population remains beyond human control. While national budgets burn through millions managing the crisis, the mechanics of devastation unfold directly on the ground. They extract over $3 million every year from northern landowners. Without natural predators in this environment, a group of 200 to 300 animals multiplies rapidly. It explodes into a massive herd of 3,000 to 4,000 within just 15 years. As herds migrate across Western Australia and the Kimberley region, the drumming of thousands of rigid hooves echoes across the plains. Hundreds of animals descend upon a single watering point. They occupy the perimeter for days, trampling the banks until the water turns into thick mud. Commercial livestock are blocked from drinking, and parasites easily spread through the grazing areas. The herds crush sturdy property fences and watering infrastructure. Yet the most severe devastation happens silently beneath the surface. The continuous impact of their hard hooves works like a heavy press. It destroys the porous soil structure, transforming the top layer into an impenetrable crust resembling concrete. The ground turns solid. When seasonal rains finally arrive, the moisture simply slides off the hardened dirt. It fails to soak into the roots below. This physical alteration strips the earth of its ability to absorb water. It triggers severe surface erosion around the site that will persist for up to 3 decades. The exact hooves that currently pulverize the continent's soil were once a crucial lifeline. In the 1850s, these animals offered the only way for colonizers to survive the harsh desert interior. We shift back to the mid-19th century. The gold rush demands rapid expansion into brutal, arid territories. Draft cattle collapse. Horses fail entirely under the extreme heat. Early settlers desperately need a resilient carrier. Donkeys become the pragmatic choice for survival. They tolerate severe thirst. They keep walking when other livestock simply drop dead. Pack caravans drag heavy wooden water barrels along the newly built overland telegraph line. Choking dust fills the old transport routes. Teams of imported animals haul massive iron mining equipment across completely barren landscapes. Journeys span hundreds of kilometers. These regions lack any basic human infrastructure. The demand for these beasts increases rapidly as mining towns push deeper into the unforgiving outback. This historical reliance sets a biological trap for the future. The early 20th century brings sudden technological progress. Railways cut directly through the harsh terrain. Motor vehicles replace flesh and bone. The once vital carriers instantly become obsolete. Settlers no longer need them. Thousands of animals are simply released into the vast wilderness. They wander away from exhausted goldfields and forgotten dirt trails. No human control remains. Thousands of beasts are just left behind in the desert. Those abandoned beasts multiplied relentlessly. Now, aviation crews hunt them down. Liquidators scan the baking red dirt. They face an impossible scale, clearing 7.6 million square kilometers. Helicopter rotors cut the dry air. Gunners spot the moving targets below. They execute a relentless daily purge. Operations eliminate hundreds of beasts daily. Nature strikes back. The vast continent swallows their efforts. Since the 1980s, crews adapted. They deploy the Judas donkey strategy. An animal receives a tracking collar. Liquidators release it into isolation. The trader rejoins its hidden herd. It unknowingly carries a lethal beacon. It leads hunters straight to them. Gunfire echoes across the Kimberley. Precision strikes hit their mark. 5,000 fall. 2,000 to 5,000 targets die. $50 million vanish into dust. Money burns. Tech fails. Reproduction rates beat aviation fuel. Natural redistribution replaces every single loss. Stopping instantly revives the ecological crisis. Nothing changes. Any single day without helicopter flights allows new herds to reclaim the quiet desert plains. While Australian aviation tracks targets from the sky, the Asian continent faces an expanding crisis across a high-altitude plateau spanning 2.5 million square kilometers. This immense expanse of cold grasslands hosts an unforgiving competition for survival, where massive roaming herds of wild asses multiply rapidly and consume the rapidly depleting vegetation. The sheer geographic scale renders standard population control entirely ineffective, demanding a heavily industrialized response to manage manage the escalating ecological disaster. The topography transforms the struggle for resources into a brutal reality of daily consumption. Unrestrained populations of feral equines compete directly for sparse forage against 12 million yaks and nearly 30 million domesticated sheep and goats. During the relentless dry season, the conflict intensifies dramatically around the few remaining natural water sources scattered across the arid terrain. Massive feral herds dominate these vital watering holes for consecutive days, physically displacing the nomadic herders and completely stripping the surrounding earth of its vulnerable ground cover. Dust rises in thick clouds as thousands of hooves trample the exhausted soil, crushing roots that require decades to regenerate naturally in this severe climate. The continuous grazing pressure leaves behind nothing but barren rock and withered stems, accelerating the physical degradation of the entire regional habitat. Thirsty domestic flocks are systematically pushed toward the barren peripheries by the overwhelming numerical advantage of the invasive species. Total habitat collapse. Every consumed hectare of slow-growing vegetation shifts the economic balance, driving nomadic communities toward an inevitable loss of their traditional grazing territories. The uncontrolled spread of these wild herds across the plateau now represents a direct and devastating threat to a highly established agricultural sector. The constant destruction of these essential feeding grounds ultimately jeopardizes a regional livestock industry valued at over $20 billion annually. The response to this ecological threat was not a rifle, but a closed industrial loop. The wild chaos of the plateau meets the sterile cold of the processing floor. Carcasses enter an automated conveyor network running continuously. Suspended on moving rails, they advance through rigorous stages. Workers first remove internal organs and apply a warm water wash to reduce natural odors. Then comes the blunt physical impact. High-pressure water jets blast the targets from multiple directions. Every surface is scoured clean. After strict manual hygiene inspections, the line moves forward. The temperature drops instantly. The product is sealed inside chilling rooms maintained at exactly 4 degrees Celsius. The sharp cold bites. Carcasses hang in this isolation for 12 to 24 hours. This strict thermal control serves a physical purpose. The prolonged exposure stabilizes the muscle fibers. The raw tissue firms up, preserving its dark red color and high protein content. Skilled butchers take their positions along the line. They drive heavy blades through the cold tissue. The stabilized carcass is rapidly butchered into distinct loin, shoulder, and hind leg cuts. To keep the processing line supplied, desert wanderers were converted into a closely managed resource across massive semi-wild enclosures. In the transition zones of Inner Mongolia and Shandong, the plains offer a convincing illusion of complete freedom. Herds drift across the arid terrain, moving through the blowing dry dust of the semi-desert belt. The visual illusion is perfect. Yet, this apparent wilderness masks a strictly regulated network where every route is controlled by unseen managers. These continuous grazing zones stretch over hundreds and thousands of hectares, covering an area of dozens of square kilometers. The migrating herds follow predetermined paths. They chew through stiff post-harvest corn stalks and rough agricultural remnants. The harsh wind sweeps across the barren land, carrying the gritty dust of the steppe as the animals process low-grade forage. This extensive infrastructure relies on a distinct physiological advantage suited for the severe climate of the Ordos region. These animals maintain a stable body mass while consuming 30 to 40% less water than conventional cattle. Such biological efficiency allows the operations to expand into territories plagued by intense water scarcity. Within these monitored boundaries, a single continuous grazing zone holds stable herds ranging from 3,000 to 5,000 animals. When the herd hits 250 kilograms, the final strict sorting begins. Watch closely, it uncovers the hidden motive. This meat operation is a facade. Target weight spans 200 kilograms. Maximum limit reaches 250. Shoulder height stops at 1.2 meters. What dictates the ultimate financial return? Examine the raw outer layer. Feel the dense animal hide. Thick, heavy, rough. Pure profit. A massive supply web emerges. It grips all of northern China. Muscle tissue holds no real economic worth. Bones become cheap agricultural waste. Only the pelt matters now. Thick, raw skin dictates every single economic move across this extensive downstream production chain. Yet, not a single animal here is destined for the extraction vats. On the harsh Qinghai Tibet plateau, different laws govern survival. The native Qiang and Mongolian wild asses roam these arid grasslands as legally protected wildlife. This classification guarantees their safety from slaughterhouse floors, barring them from entering the lucrative hide value chains. They stay untouched. This legal shield creates an economic dead end for pastoral communities. As wild herds multiply, they consume the sparse vegetation required by domestic livestock. A single kyong eats the daily forage equivalent of 3 sheep. The dry season transforms the plateau into a bitter battleground for calories. Protected equines deplete the low grass reserves, while herders watch grazing resources vanish, unable to cull the herds. Driven by this conflict, managers implement controlled, semi-wild management models where researchers monitor these animals during breeding seasons to facilitate managed mating protocols within designated boundaries. This intervention stabilizes population demographics while mitigating severe grazing competition. Options fade. Barred from harvesting hide, these regions pivoted toward a non-lethal pathway focused entirely on raw milk collection. To extract a vital resource from protected herds without resorting to slaughter, technicians deploy a bloodless, hyper-precise technology. The dry, freezing environment of the northern plateau dictates strict terms. A standard dairy cow demands over 40 liters of water every single day just to produce milk. A grazing donkey survives and produces on less than 15 liters. This natural efficiency makes them ideal for barren lands, but harvesting their milk is a volatile operation. Stress halts donkey milk production instantly. One sudden noise ruins the yield. 0 deviations are allowed. The transition from the wind-scoured, dusty pastures to the extraction hall is sharp. Gritty earth gives way to gleaming stainless steel floors. The air smells sharp with industrial disinfectants. Automated milking units attach directly to the animals. Soft silicone suction heads initiate the process. They do not just pull a continuous vacuum, they pulse. Advanced pneumatic mechanisms precisely replicate the natural nursing rhythm of a newborn foal. The equipment cycles at roughly 80 to 90 beats per minute. This steady mechanical heartbeat tricks the nervous system of the mother into releasing the milk without resistance. It is a flawless physical deception. A sprawling network of transparent food-grade tubes catches the raw, warm liquid. Donkey milk is structurally fragile. Ambient oxygen and warmth degrade its unique protein structures almost immediately. Speed is everything. The fresh milk rushes from the udder directly into integrated rapid cooling pipelines. Frost aggressively builds along the exterior steel joints. Within 3 minutes of leaving the animal, the liquid plummets to exactly 4 degrees Celsius. This sterile, aggressive cold locks the delicate micronutrients firmly in place. Bacterial growth stops dead. The entire extraction floor hums continuously with the deep vibration of heavy refrigeration units. From the chilling tanks, the raw liquid pumps straight into modern thermal processing chambers. Industrial pasteurization requires exact timing. Heat spikes flash through the liquid for a fraction of a second, destroying pathogens while keeping the fragile enzymes perfectly intact. Following purification, the milk enters the final isolation phase. Even brief exposure to ambient light initiates rapid oxidation. High-speed packaging lines shoot the sterile milk into multi-layered cartons. An interior aluminum shield forms an impenetrable barrier. 0 ultraviolet light penetrates the container walls. Complete darkness is mandatory. The heavy sealed cartons roll rapidly off the sterile conveyor belt and shift directly into massive cold storage warehouses. Milk extraction offers a gentle compromise. Unprotected domestic herds face another reality. They enter a radical processing conveyor. This fuels a multi-billion-dollar industry. Workers strip the thick collagen layer. High-pressure water blasts it clean. The skins enter massive steel tanks. Alkaline baths strip away remaining hair. Then the extraction phase begins. Industrial cauldrons consume the clean hides. Temperatures rise above 100 degrees. Continuous boiling lasts for many hours. The heat is completely suffocating. The physical structure simply surrenders. Tough fibers dissolve into boiling water. A chemical transformation takes place. The liquid turns a deep amber. It flows like warm engine oil. Impurities float to the churning surface. Mechanical skimmers drag the foam away. The amber fluid pumps through filters. Pressure forces it through fine mesh. The extract enters thermal reduction chambers. Boiling continues under strict temperature control. Water evaporates into the ventilation shafts. The volume shrinks drastically. Viscosity increases. It reduces to a honey consistency. The heavy syrup catches the light. Workers monitor the viscous golden flow. Temperatures drop slightly. The thick paste leaves the vats. It pours into shallow rectangular molds. Cooling systems engage. The transition begins. Soon the color turns completely black. The liquid locks into rigid shapes. Heat dissipates. A living creature dissolves entirely. No trace remains. Rows of dense, solid black gelatin blocks quietly harden in the cold metal molds, absorbing every drop of ambient light. Solidified collagen squares and sterile dairy pouches forge a total zero-waste economic cycle. Asian markets transform a severe ecological crisis into a tightly managed corporate asset. Every single resource is extracted. Hides, meat, and milk merge seamlessly into one continuous value chain that generates billions of dollars annually. This rigorous strategy rapidly drops the ecological pressure across arid grazing lands. A massive agricultural problem becomes a highly lucrative national enterprise. Across the ocean, a completely contrasting reality unfolds. Australia faces the exact same environmental threat across its own vulnerable grasslands, yet their response takes a radically different path. Vast, unforgiving deserts stretch out across millions of square kilometers. Here, the arid landscape dictates entirely brutal terms. There is no factory floor. There is no processing line. Instead, the empty skies fill with the deafening roar of aviation fuel and heavy spinning rotors. Aerial control campaigns continuously sweep over the dusty inland plains. Marksmen lean out of hovering helicopters, scanning the dense brush for moving targets. The management strategy here is direct and physically destructive. Tens of thousands of feral beasts consume vital vegetation originally meant for fragile native wildlife. The immense physical scale of this territory makes traditional ground control utterly impossible. Entire regions roughly equal in size to European nations are routinely scoured from the air. The mission is eradication. Bullets replace the butcher blocks. Two continents face identical ecological pressures with opposing philosophies. One turns hides and milk into a highly profitable trade network. The other funds continuous, large-scale airborne hunting operations. Will helicopter-based culling remain the only long-term solution for these vast, untamed territories? The question hangs over a dry expanse where feral herds have roamed and multiplied for more than 1 century.